Hello everyone, welcome to Narene's Life with MS. This is Narene, and of course, it is time for a Sunday check in. And I'm very happy to be doing this Sunday check in because it is already after midnight, which means it is Half Life Day. I actually felt like I wanted to do more than one video on Half Life Day. But of course, this is a once in a lifetime thing, right? I can always calculate, what are my other, you know, what would be like, would it be like 2/3 of a life day, 3/4 of a life day? What would I call, you know, what would be this day that I literally calculated? But of course, considering this is a Sunday check-in, I did want it to serve as a Sunday check-in, which is just to pretty much cover and hopefully check in with you in terms of your weekend being restful. Of course, understanding that you know sometimes weekends can be very very busy, and knowing that this is the last weekend of March, we can all collectively breathe a sigh of relief that this month, which was just felt very very long, is now finally coming to an end. Right, there are still a few days left, but it is coming to an end. And one thing that I did want to talk about was the fact that I did mention it yesterday, which was my little uh, foot infection. So I'll go a little bit over what ended up happening with that. But one thing that I want to make it a little more clear is, when events like this happen, or really I should say when incidents like this happen, you should definitely tell someone so that you can make sure that you can prevent issues like I had, because I did not know what I was doing wrong. And of course, it turned out I did everything wrong. So yes, how did it start? So I was at the gym. I was exercising, and normally, one of the things that I do end up doing, just to make myself a little more confident on the stairs, which, as you know, are the bane of my existence, um, is practice climbing stairs and coming downstairs and climbing stairs again. And so I was climbing stairs, right? There was a two-step wooden thing, and I was just doing that. And in doing so, I in one of those times, one of those reps where I was climbing, I scratched sort of the top side of my foot against the edge of the step. And of course I do that at home as well pretty often. And in the gym I was also barefoot, so of course I felt the scratch against my skin. I felt the scratch, but of course it was just a scratch, so I just thought, okay, fine, I have just scratched myself, that's okay. And went back home, took a shower, thought that was the end of the sort of episode. I'd say, you know, I want to say that it was Thursday. This gym might, this gym session probably was either Monday or Wednesday. I'm more leaning towards Wednesday. Um, but it could have been Monday. I don't really recall which day it was, but um, one thing I do remember is on Thursday, I felt my foot hurting a little bit more, but of course, I still knew that I had scratched my foot. So I just thought that maybe it was more of a kind of peeled a little bit of skin or something. So that's why it is hurting more than it should. And just put that in my mind and, carried about with my day. Did end up going to the gym, came back, everything was fine, took a shower, uh, and was working. And then I'd say closer to night time, I decided to put on my Crocs and head off to my parents' room. And uh, while putting on my Crocs, I suddenly noticed that it was a little harder for me to put on my left Crocs. I didn't realize that my foot had inflamed to a very large amount, but um, it was a little difficult putting my foot into the Crocs. So I just said, let it be. Just went barefoot to my parents' room and sat down, watched TV, did all of that. And when I was coming back, I think my mom just crossed the room in front of me. And while she was crossing, I think I mentioned that, oh yeah, my left foot is hurting. I scratched it. Um, and at that time, I said that I scratched it on Thursday, even though I think it was a little earlier, maybe Wednesday, or it could be Monday, but either way. And she looks down and she says, your foot is twice the size that it should be. And the funny part is that I am not very visually keen on these kinds of things. So I just said, oh, is that so? And she's just looked at it again and said, you have to go to a doctor because it looks like you might have sprained your ankle, because it just so happened that the back of my foot was um, generally a lot bigger. And the reason for that was, of course, I had my feet hanging for majority of the day when I sit down in this chair and I work. And as a result of that, um, you know I definitely had a lot of um, fluids pooling over there, just trying to fix whatever was happening, the fix the injury. And so I do go to the hospital on Friday, when I get to find out that yes, it is my foot did get infected. Now I don't know what might have caused the actual infection. Um, could be anything, could have been the place where I actually scratched it even. But the good thing is that my foot is improving, it is getting better. So it was a little episode, but nothing to really worry about. But with that being said, of course, I think it is very funny that so many things are happening. I'm definitely changing my lifestyle just a little bit so that I can uh, concentrate on improving myself in more ways, right? I do go to the gym. I do um, take other I do uh, use other treatments such as acupuncture, do use homeopathy, and I have very recently started meditation as well. And I am noticing and I am reaping the benefits of all of these additional treatments that I am doing, right? As small and as topical as they might be, but there is a little improvement in those in from those treatments as well. So yes, my days are definitely getting a lot busier. I mean, one thing I can definitely say is in the month of March, I don't think I have been to an acupuncture session, which is, my bad. But I do hope that April becomes a little easier, a little more breezy, so that I am able to actually accomplish a lot more, because I do have a lot more things to accomplish in April. But with that said, of course, here was my Sunday check in, and of course, here's hoping that your weekend went very well. And this is Narain Sai with MS. I am Narain, and of course, here's wishing you a good night, sweet dreams, and I will talk to you tomorrow, which is later today, which is also half light day. So do check in for a new series, and of course, maybe a special episode. Um, Maybe I'll even have cake involved, but don't hold me accountable on that. But yes, thank you so much, and bye.